What up, dude bros? I'm Frank. This is another episode of Nerf Versus. In this episode, we're comparing the Nerf rival Khaos to the Nerf rival Nemesis to find out which one is better. Before the differences, let's cover the similarities, their nerf, their rival, and their fully automatic. Both full auto mechs are also feeding into a flywheel propulsion system, which is also battery powered. And the battery packs for these blasters are actually the same as well, so super similar because they're identical. And if you have the rechargeable battery pack, the same pack will work in both of these blasters. Sure, if you want to get ridiculous, you could say they're both blue, they're both plastic, they're both whatever. But for me, in the scope of this video, that's the similarity of the Khaos and the Nemesis. So beyond the similarities, what are the pros of each blaster? Let's start out with going over the pros of the Khaos. First, its loading mechanism is a spring-powered magazine. This has pros and cons, but one of the pros of this system is that the orientation of the blaster doesn't really matter in the feeding. If you're a hardcore parkour ninja and you're constantly firing from an inverted position, or you're an astronaut who likes Nerf, floating around in space, gravity is not required for the Khaos to work. The next pro of the Khaos, it's much less expensive than the Nemesis. And the last pro of the Khaos, we're grasping at straws here, you have to hand load the magazine, which in theory gives you a higher appreciation for each round fired. Of course, it's fully automatic, so if you're really stingy on ammo, it's probably not best anyways. You might go for a spring or a semi-auto flywheel blaster, but you have to hand load the magazine. Granted, loading 40 rounds into the Khaos is much faster than loading 40 darts into any other magazine out there, but it's slower than the Nemesis, so these two compared, you'll have a greater appreciation for each round you fired because you had to spend more time to load it, compared to a hopper where you can just dump balls in, spew them out, dump balls in, and you really don't care if you waste 5 or 10 rounds. It's the same mentality of a bolt-action rifle or a really, really low capacity one with like 3 or 4 shots. It's kind of grasping at straws, as I mentioned, applying the same logic to a 40-round fully automatic blaster, but that's what happens when you compare anything to the Nemesis. Grasp at straws. Now to the pros of the Nerf Nemesis. First, it has a much higher capacity than the Khaos. The 40-round Khaos is nothing to scoff at. 40 rounds is a very large capacity, but the Nemesis holds 100 rounds. The next pro, it's much less of a hassle to load up the Nemesis. And I'm not talking about changing out magazines that are already loaded. I'm talking about loading the magazine or loading the feeding system. Loading up the Nemesis, you just open up the hopper and you drop in balls and you're good to go. And that happens very quickly. Sure, if you have a full mag, you can drop the Khaos mag, grab a full one and shove it on in there. That's pretty quick, but you still have to load the magazines. And it's quicker than most other magazines because of the Khaos magazine design, which is pretty cool, but compared to the Nemesis, this is really slow and cumbersome. And the next pro for the Nemesis, it doesn't cost money or extra bulk on your body to carry extra ammo. Referring to external box magazines. When you load up the Khaos, if you want to carry extra ammo, it's smartest to have a bunch of extra magazines loaded around your body. Those magazines will either cost you money, or if somehow you clone them without costing anything, you still have to store them on your body, which is costing you bulk. With the Nemesis, it's much lower profile to carry the same amount of ammo, just in pouches or just in a big bag, because you can grab them and just throw them into the hopper. You don't have to have external box mags anywhere. Side note, I used to complain that they didn't sell Khaos mags independently, like separately. That kind of annoyed me and a little bit confused me until I fired the Nemesis, and it makes sense. Because the guys over at Hasbro know the result of this video, which is better, the Nemesis or the Khaos? The Nemesis. Now that this is out, at least in Canada, it's supposed to hit the US in the fall, there's really no need for the Khaos. I think it's rendered absolutely obsolete, so that's probably why they never bothered with coming out these mags. They knew the Nemesis was in the works and coming shortly. Higher capacity, much easier to reload. It's more fun because you don't have to spend time doing the grunt work of reloading. If somehow you just didn't have to pick up your balls, or maybe if they can include a little caddy to run around and collect your darts for you afterwards, that's the only way you could really improve the Nemesis. The Khaos is a lot cheaper, but honestly, I would recommend saving for the Nemesis or going to a dart blaster. I just don't see any good reason to buy the Khaos anymore. Unless you have access to a 3D printer and you want to flip over the Khaos and make it shoot upside down and then 3D print a hopper on top of it, that's effectively turning the Khaos into a Nemesis, because the feeding conveyor belt inside is very similar. Khaos v Nemesis, which is better? The Nemesis. Of course, that's just my opinion. You guys are welcome to disagree. In most other Versus episodes, I would accept a good argument for why I was incorrect. However, in this case, no. If you don't think the Nemesis is better than the Khaos, I would assume you haven't used a Nemesis, or you're just bad and you should feel bad. That's this episode of Versus. If you have any products you'd like compared in future episodes, leave a comment in the section below. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, stay tactical.